Welcome to the May 1st, 2026, the Flunk Day edition of my vlog. Now, before I get into what Flunk Day is, I want to give you two different dates and the weather on those dates, and I want you to assess which has better weather. I want to give a shout out to Google Gemini. I knew this fact, but I wanted to prove it. And so I went to Gemini and asked, what was the weather in Cedar Rapids on May 1st, 1991? And it came up with the fact that it was a high of 59, a low of 43. There was no rain, and that's it. So a cool spring day. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. April 15th of this year, the high was in the low 70s and it rained all day. Now, you're in charge of creating an event where more than 1,000 people are going to be celebrating outside. Which is better? A high of 59, sunny, cool, or cold when the wind is blowing hard, which it was that day, or a day where it's pretty much raining all day long? Hmm. Well, I'll explain why that's relevant in a minute here. Flunk Day also comes with a newspaper, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Denise, who actually watches this vlog. She was in charge of creating the Flunk Day newspaper, and she was a former editor of the Co-Cosmos, the student newspaper, and it was replaced by the Co-Costmost. And she gave us, and I had nothing to do with this, she gave us a headline that in today's world would probably have had me canceled along with then student body president Tony Alt as trans alt denies sexual orientation. It's from a costume party that the AOPIs threw that I'm dressed up as alfalfa, Tony is dressed up as a church lady, and as you can see in this picture, alfalfa is grabbing the church lady's boobs. Yeah, I don't know how that'd go over in today's world. Don't know. Anyhow, I do want to thank Denise. I have my remaining copy of the Co-Cosmos is in tatters. They have a good one in the co-library that I really hope somebody will have laminated because I really want it preserved. Um, it legitimately makes fun of me. If you can see this, it has a picture of me when I was in drag in high school, and then me when I was in elementary school looking like a guy who in the future would not have a chance of getting laid. Yeah. Anyhow, what is Funk Day? Co-college is a tradition that goes back well over 100 years now that the outgoing student body president gets to decide on one day in the spring that all classes are canceled. It is an awesome tradition. And when I say all classes are canceled, I mean if there's a paper due, if there's a test, anything that happens on that day will not happen. And no professor is allowed to penalize you if, they can't send something saying, I don't care if it's flunk day, you still have to do X. No, cannot happen. And everybody at Co loves flunk day. And I got to see it as a student, obviously, and I got to see it as the former student body president. Get to that in a minute. And I got to see it as a faculty member when I went back to teach. When I say everybody at Co loves Flunk Day, everybody at Co loves Flunk Day. One of the best things about Flunk Day, which Tony Alt and I played to the absolute maximum, was you like to do what's called Flunk Day fakeouts. So, which pretty much meant in the spring of 1991, Tony and I just would go. Oh, and by the way, Tony was vice president while I was president, and then he succeeded me and became president after me. And so Tony and I would go and just get absolutely drunk and be as public about it as possible because it made students be like, wow, Flunk Day has to be tomorrow. Look at how drunk Steve and Tony are. I legitimately faked how drunk I was just to make people believe it. And boy, did we fake them out. The number of the number of faculty members who said to me, Yeah, less than, particularly for freshmen. If they're teaching a freshman class, the freshmen fell for it. And so I had countless numbers of faculty members saying to me, yeah, I had a test today and less than half the class showed up because they said you were drunk last night and therefore it had to be flunk day today. And they said it to me like they're scolding me, but they were also smiling as they did it. And because Tony and I did this multiple times. And it's one of those things of at some point we should probably feel bad about what we did, but no, we didn't. That's what Flunk Day is all about. Um, it's changed over the years, I guess. And now, and by the way, I need to explain what it was like back then. The only person on the face of the earth in 1991 who had the ability to call Flunk Day was me. It was my job. Um, Nobody else had any say in it. I asked Tony and Mark Goings, who was the treasurer working with me, I wanted it to be a committee decision that we would do it together, and I got their advice and on the evening of April 30th, Tony and Mark said go. I was hesitant, but I didn't disagree. I'm not pushing this off on them. I talked to Denny Frary, who was TV9's most famous meteorologist in of Eastern Iowa. I was talking to him every night, and he's like, "Oh, tomorrow's the best day. You got to go May 1st. Got to go with May 1st. It's going to be high in the middle 70s, sunny all day. It's going to be wonderful." Denny Frary screwed me. I love Denny, and I wish him a very happy retirement, but yeah, he screwed me. Um, so so the tradition is on the morning of Flunk Day, you wake up at 5:30. You go ring the giant bell that Co has. Should have put a picture of that in this. Anyhow, there's a giant bell that pretty much can be heard all across campus. You ring that bell, and then you run through the halls of all the dormitories and the apartments that Co owns, and you scream, "Wake up, it's Flunk Day," and you throw the Flunk Day newspaper all over the place. It is a lot of fun. Over the years, I've probably run the halls. I even ran the halls as a faculty member because there was a Sigma Nu who was student body president, so I had the opportunity to join him and his group that morning. That is probably the most fun thing for me for Flunk Day is running the halls, pounding on doors at 6 o'clock, screaming at the top of our lungs. Yeah, I'd go back and do that in a heartbeat. Um, I have nothing but fond memories of Flunk Day, but the fact that it was only 59 degrees on my Flunk Day, there are people who have these traumatic memories of my Flunk Day, and they've made up this story. Well, my mentor saw me that morning, and he said, "Crayons, only you could mix Flunk Day with Winter Carnival," making fun that I called a cold Flunk Day. It was 59 degrees with a low of 43. There was no rain. Yes, people had to wear a coat, but your goal was to go outside and drink beer. You can drink beer when it's 59 degrees, and you can be outside. You can't be outside when it rains. You can't be out. So I will take my funk day over the funk day they had this year. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Do I sound a little defensive? Yes, I am. Ugh, yeah. May 1st will always hold a special place in my heart. I don't think anybody was harmed by my flunk day. Um, could I have had a day? Could I had it on a day that had better weather? Yeah, for the record, we had some great weather in the spring of 91. So the fact that I actually called it on a pretty crappy day is on me. But yeah, um, no regrets. It was fun. I wish you all well. There is no major news on the war front, except for the fact that Iran is making it clear they are a participant in this war, and the US is not the one calling all the shots. Honestly, good on them. So, on that note, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.